All right. Well, I am now joined by Selis, an artist who is going to be joining us at the Anvil in July on the 13th, Sunday the 13th. Is that right, Eve?
Yes, yes, I will be
And,
there.
and, and hello and welcome, Eve. I probably should have started with hello and welcome. It's very good of you to join me.
Oh, I'm thrilled to be here, and thank you for putting this together and making this happen. This is fun and exciting.
Yeah. So you're in the USA, which is very exotic for us here in Basingstoke in Hampshire in the UK.
Yeah.
Whereabouts are you?
I live in Franklin, Tennessee, which is about 30 minutes south of Nashville. So
Oh,
it's
very good.
actually a geographical oddity. I literally, every time I get in my car to map something out, it's 30 minutes. I'm like, what? I live
Wow.
30 minutes from everywhere, except Basingstoke. How do we say it? Basingstoke or Basingstoke?
You said it right the first time.
That's how I usually say
Basingstoke.
it, Basingstoke. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
that's right. And have you
Yay!
been to the UK before, Eve?
I've been tons of times. But the last time was in 2019. And that was after like a 3 year, I hadn't been there because my husband had been diagnosed with brain cancer, and I had a brother
Oh
diagnosed with
gosh.
colon cancer, stage 4. And
Oh
then
my goodness.
I know, and they're both still here. And then I lost my brother
Oh,
Pete
fantastic.
in 2017. So it was kind of a one, two, three punch, and I
Gosh,
was
I'm so
down.
sorry.
I didn't know that I would ever do music again, which is actually
Mm,
why my new record kind of exists.
right,
It's really my journey, but from the darkness back to the light.
right. And is that why it's called the Dark Sky Blue Healing Hearts Tour?
Yes, the album's called Dark Sky Blue, and that's the title track.
Oh, okay.
And
Hmm.
basically the tagline is, "What will it take to turn your dark sky blue?"
Oh,
And
wow. Love that.
it's been a it. Let me tell you, it's well. I think all of us have been through something, haven't we? Because the last time I was here was 2019, and then 2020 was the pandemic.
Yeah.
So we've all had this crazy loss, and then of
Mm,
course, you can't really avoid it as a human being to lose people you love, just naturally, or through disease or
mm,
whatnot. And
yeah.
also there's all sorts of kind of loss that we as humans, we don't really know how to deal with it, and we don't know how to talk about it, and nobody really wants to talk about it, so we don't. And then it just kind of makes it worse, and everybody is
Yeah.
just trying to be fine, right?
Yes, well, exactly. And I think because we have to live pretending about this fact that we're all going to die. Otherwise, we wouldn't get out of bed in the morning, would we? I guess.
Right. Mhm.
Um, so, Eve, how would you describe your music for people who might not have heard you before?
Well, for decades, I fit into the Americana uh,
Mm,
umbrella, which is a genre that basically says we have no idea what to call your music, so you're Americana artist, because it's kind of cross, pollinating with, country and folk and
mm,
blues and rock. I'm a rocker. I've always been a rocker. So
yeah,
that happened, but this new record, when I moved to Nashville, and I actually recorded it here, and I finished writing it here and recording it here. We moved in during the pandemic. In
right.
September of 2020, we moved here. So I say, if you two, Jeff Buckley and Sarah Bareilles, had a baby, that's what my music sounds like. The new
Very
record.
good.
It's the new record.
Yeah.
So it's strings, piano, and
Mm,
rock and roll, right?
yeah.
And then of course the subject matter is all about just that journey out of the darkness. And literally, one of the reasons I think music is so healing is it gives us all permission to cry for 3 minutes and 30 seconds, or however long the
Yeah.
song is, right? Or to
Hmm.
just be like, yep, yep. Or, I mean, I think everyone has had that moment where they're like, oh my gosh, this artist is reading my thoughts. How did they get in my
Yeah.
head? And then you just listen over and over, and that's how we heal. So
Mm,
I'm grateful. I don't know that I would still be here if I hadn't chosen to start moving back towards the light, and that music
mm,
was my,
yeah.
vessel to get me through.
Yeah, well, that's a profound journey you've been on by the sounds of it. And I have to say, I listened to some of your music, Eve, obviously in advance of speaking to you, and I can hear the difference actually in your latest couple of songs. And I listened to some of your earlier stuff. Now, I hope you don't mind me saying, but I thought I could hear a bit of Melissa Etheridge. Do you know Melissa Etheridge?
I do, and I will take that in a heartbeat. Yes.
And a
And you
little bit
know,
of Annie Lennox almost as
oh
well.
yay, yay! Here comes the rain again. You know what? I feel like if the youth in America had focused more on Annie Lennox than on oh shoot, who am I thinking of? Dang it. Gosh, there's the person who does all the trills. Dang it, her name just went right out of
Oh,
my head.
Mariah Carey,
Mariah
Beyonce.
Carey. Yes.
Mm.
The music would be in a much more soulful, different place, in my personal opinion. I just love Annie Lennox. So I will take both of those. Thank you. And
Yeah,
you know who I love, who's current now, is Brandy Carlisle.
right.
And her voice is incredible, insane, and she's
Mm.
actually living the career I always dreamed of having. So I have so much joy when I see her perform or I hear her. I'm like, that's what I would be doing. I would, yes, Elton John, of course, all the stuff. So thank
Yeah.
you. I'll take all those comparisons. That's lovely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they were just things that popped into my mind because I'm not sure how well people know Melissa Etheridge in this country, but she's amazing.
Yes.
But your voice sounded like her. And if you want to listen to Eve, you can access her on all your usual streaming uh, devices. Devices is the wrong word, but you know what I mean. And it's
Platforms.
Eve Selis, and it's Selis. Now, Eve, it says on your advertising here on the Anvil, which is where you're coming to on July the 13th, in case anybody missed that. Yeah, it says and friends. So who are the friends?
So I'm bringing a guitar player. So interesting enough, this is the first tour I'm doing in the UK where I don't have my band. So my
Ah,
band, my band is from San Diego and we moved to
right.
Nashville. So whenever I go home to San Diego, we gig. Like, as a matter of fact, I'm going in June and I have a couple of gigs as I'm gigging with Berkeley Heart Celis Twang, and we came over and toured a couple of times in England, and then I'm going, going to play with Mark, my guitar player. But
Mhm,
they actually have their own band now called Back to the Garden, and they do a lot of tribute shows like Woodstock songs and
mhm.
Laurel Canyon music and California country. So they have a lot of fun. And actually, I just did a Beatles um, tribute show with them in
Oh,
March
wow.
and had a blast getting to sing.
That
I
sounds
had
fun.
to
Yeah.
sing "Baby I'm Amazed." Oh my gosh, that sounds like a
Oh, yeah. That is
challenge.
such a good.
Um,
Yeah.
anyway, so I'm bringing Sam Hunt, who I'm connected to. He lives here in Nashville now, but he used to take guitar lessons. He learned how to play the guitar from an ex brother-in-law of mine, my sister's ex-husband, and their child, Lauren Lee, who's an incredible singer and performer and whatnot. And Sam used to be partners musically until he moved to Nashville. So I'm coming with Sam Hunt. So he's amazing on guitar. And my friend Randy Driscoll, she plays keyboards. It's
That's a
Randy
great
with an
name.
I. Isn't that? I know. And she's amazing. She's actually going to be opening the show. So you'll get to hear her
Ah,
music. And so that's why I said, and friends, she can only come over for 6 shows. So the last 4 shows of my tour, I'm going to play with cello and guitar. So it's going to be
oh,
an interesting. I said, let's just do and friends.
yeah.
And who knows? I did write a letter to Elton John and asked him to show up at one of the concerts. I'm not
Did
sure if he's
you?
going to make it. Yes.
Oh,
Wouldn't that be amazing?
well,
Because
I
he's not busy.
yeah. Well, I don't know if anybody at the radio's got connections. You never know. I'll put in a good word.
That'd be
So when
great.
you
Thanks, Claire.
when you mentioned as if we would know Elton John, but anyway, let's pretend. When you
Yeah.
mentioned Brandy Carlisle earlier, is she's the one that's just done the album with him? Is that right?
She has. She
Yeah.
has. And she wrote a book called, I think it's called Broken Horses.
Mm.
And it's a great book. And one of the best things I listen to audio books. I can't read anymore. And that's just what I mean
Mm.
is I can certainly read, but I get like a paragraph in and I'm like, shh,
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
fall asleep. I just fall asleep. But when I listen to audiobooks, I'm more engaged and I'm more
Yeah.
it like I don't know. I'm able to get it. And at the end of
Mm.
many of the chapters, she sings because she can. So she'll pull out
Ah.
her acoustic guitar and sing one of her songs that she was just talking about. And it's so
Fantastic.
phenomenal. So, and talks about getting the Grammy and all the things that came with just coming from,
Mm,
where she grew up and being gay and
mm.
loving the Lord and loving God and having that be an incredible part of her life and still a huge part of her life. And then just moving forward and all of that. So I'm a huge fan. One day I hope to
Yeah.
get to sing with her. That's a bucket list
So
item.
maybe if Elton does come, he can bring Brandy with him
Wouldn't that be amazing?
to
Oh my
Basingstoke.
gosh. Then I would say, lock the doors. They can't leave, or we are having a sleepover.
That would be amazing, wouldn't it? So
Yeah.
how often do you go into Nashville? Is that somewhere you gig a lot when you're at home?
I do gig in Nashville. It's very interesting here. It's hard to make a living in Nashville. I'll tell you why.
Mm,
Downtown Nashville is a lot of honky tonks and a lot of just bars along the board Broadway, and
mhm,
it's super fun. It's neon lights. It's kind of Vegasy, and but
mm,
everybody's doing covers, and they're all doing. They're actually not
yeah,
even doing all country songs. A lot of it's rock and roll and
right.
whatnot, and everybody kind of knows the same song list. So you're going from pub to pub if you're doing a pub crawl, and
Mhm.
you're going from honky tonk to
Is
honky
that what
tonk.
people do when they
Yes.
go to Nashville?
And
Mm,
so that's how you can make money, but I've done that already in my life, and I'm like,
mm,
"Ooh," it's those to me, and this is just me, are soul sucking gigs. They just,
right.
I love singing, and I'll sing anywhere, any chance I get, and I don't mind doing covers. Obviously, there's great songs. I don't have to write every song I sing, but that kind of a gig is more for a tourist thing, and you can
Yeah,
make a
yeah,
living doing that, but it's a slog. And
mhm,
so a lot of musicians, unless you're doing uh, studio work, it's hard to make a living in Nashville because
mm,
so many people
mm,
do it for free or cheap.
yes.
So people live here because the state of Tennessee is surrounded by I think it's 10 states. So like a
Mhm,
2-hour drive in any direction. Well, that's not quite true because it's a long state. That's 4 hours to the border. But you're in another state. So you can go out
mm,
and do a couple of shows over the weekend in different states and still be back home on Monday. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
so
yeah.
it's that kind of a thing here. So I do mostly not open mics. They're called songwriter rounds. And it's where you
Oh, okay.
have 3 to 4 songwriters and each person sings a song and then you go back around. That's why they call them rounds.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
I get about 3 or 4 songs in that. And so I'm actually looking to start doing more gigs where I get to be like the featured artist and sing
Yeah,
more of my
yeah.
stuff. And that has been challenging, but I'm doing it. I'm getting there.
Yeah. Well, you're here. You're coming to the UK in
Yes.
July. I'm
Yes.
not sure. Yes, I'm just looking on my popular streaming device, which I'm
Yes.
not allowed to mention. And I can see that you are going to be in other places. So if people can't come to Basingstoke on the 13th of July to the
Yes.
Anvil to
Yes.
see Selis, they can also go to see you in Milton Keynes, Ardley. I have never heard of Ardley. I don't actually know where that is. Um,
Oh,
Ely,
that's fun. Yes.
which I'm assuming is that sort of linked in with the folk festival for
Yes,
Ely?
I'm playing at the folk festival in Ely. I'm excited. I play at
Oh,
5
fantastic.
p.m.
Right.
So I play at 5 p.m. In Ely, so that'll be
Oh,
fun.
fantastic.
And
Yeah.
on the Milton Keynes gig, I have special guest Bob Harris joining me.
No way.
Whispering Bob Harris, yes.
Whispering Bob. Wow.
He
That's
is
very
he
exciting.
is a dear friend and a fan, and many times when I've come over, I've stayed at their house, and he's had me on his radio show many times, and I've
Mm.
asked him to come, and we're gonna do like a little break, kind of an interview section
Oh,
during the
fantastic.
show, which is interesting, different. I saw a
Yeah.
guy here in Nashville do it for his podcast, which obviously is about that, but he had Sheryl Crow and Amy Grant sing, and he had a choir, and he had the band with the 4-piece string section. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's my show. So hoping to have a choir sing with me in Newcastle, castle. It's still in the
Oh,
works, but I got the approval that it's okay to have it, and I just need a smaller choir than it's not a huge venue. But it's exciting to get to come back to England.
mm,
It's a dream, I think, for many American artists anyway, to just come tour in England,
mm.
and you can get to so many different places because of how wonderfully compact y'all are. As far as the entire country of England fits into the state of Texas, so
Yes,
it's
we forget
really
how lucky we are.
very
Yeah,
hard to tour in America because it's just
yeah,
huge. It's
yeah.
expensive, and I hate to come down to that it's a money issue, but it's a money issue
It is,
because you
it
want
is
to pay
relevant. Yeah.
musicians. Yeah, you want to pay musicians fairly and all of that. But yeah, I'm excited to get to share my friends with my fans again, and hopefully bring in new fans. This new record has gotten a much different response than anything I've ever done before.
Mm, mm.
And in
In what
that,
way?
well, I've had people come up to me afterwards saying I did not know how much I needed that. I didn't know
Right.
how how much I had suppressed my sorrow, my grief. And don't get me wrong, this is a fun, uplifting show. It's not doom and gloom down in the trenches. But as my dear friend Kim McLean, who co-wrote 7 of the songs with me, says, you got to start in the light if you want to get to the dark. I mean, you got to start in the dark if you want to get to the light. And
Right. That's right. That's right. You got to earn it.
yeah, and so that's kind of how I even set the record up. It starts with the 2 darkest songs on the record, and then just
Mhm.
the kind of fumbling through, getting towards back to I Choose Love,
Oh,
which was
wonderful.
going to be the last song on the record until the song Somebody's Brother was written. And
Mm,
that was a scary song to write, but also, I just think, a really necessary song. And
yeah.
so, yeah, this record kind of opens the door for that conversation, and I was just kind of shocked at how many people need that because
Mm,
literally no one wants to talk about it. No one does.
yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
want to talk about it, Claire.
Yeah.
It's
So
so I'm
how's
in
it
a
been?
very strange place of talking
Yeah.
about it and not wanting to talk about it.
And how do you get through that song about your presumably it's about your brother?
It is about my brother. That song is, and so is the first song,
Mm,
Dark Sky Blue. I I You know what? I've only had to sing that song like a couple of times. So I'm going to get to sing it the most I've ever sung it in England.
mm.
And so I'll see.
That'll be
It's
interesting.
very difficult both, many times I think as a songwriter, you write songs um, that allow you to express your emotion and make you cry because maybe you can't speak the words, but you can sing the
Mm,
words. The
mhm.
problem with that is when you're singing and you start crying, you can't sing.
Yeah.
It's because your throat, your body actually thinks you're choking, so it closes up your throat to protect your
Yeah.
lungs from all the waterworks. And so so that's one of the reasons, another reason why I'm doing this. The more every time I sing these songs, I get healing from them. I get,
Yeah, it's
of
I was
course,
gonna say it's
yeah, it's personal, but it's
cathartic.
also, as a
Mhm.
songwriter, you try to make it universal, because it can't
Yeah.
just be all about me, right? Although, isn't everything all about Eve?
Yeah. Of
Just,
course.
just
Um,
kidding.
and you mentioned Bob Harris, and obviously, listeners to this show, and obviously myself, are dedicated to Basingstoke Radio. But I do listen to Bob Harris's country music show every Thursday here in the UK, and so do a very great deal many other people. So I feel very honoured that I'm interviewing somebody that Bob's interviewed. When did you first
Oh,
meet Bob?
thank you so much. I want to say I met him in early days. I want to say probably 2006 or 2007.
Mhm.
He was like a speaker at a show that I was part of, that down in Kent, and we just became fast friends. And just he's, I mean, he's Bob Harris. I think I had to, wow. And but I was actually. We've had some milestone events, and my son's turning 18. He just turned 18 and he's graduating high school on Thursday of this week. Um,
Mhm.
and I was pregnant with him on tour in England in
Oh
2007.
wow.
Yes. Was it 2007 or 2009? Geez, 597. 2007. His birthday always messes me up whenever I have to write it down because it's anyway. So 2007, and that was when Bob Harris got the news at that gig that we were doing, which
Wow.
was in London. I think it was called, what was it called? It was called the, it was a really cool venue that's no longer there. Underground? No, that's not right.
Well, I
Shoot.
wish I could help you with cool venues, but I'm not your
Darn it.
woman.
Anyway, he got the news that night from his doctor that he had prostate cancer, and
Wow.
he's been very public about that, which is
Yes.
God bless him for that, because he's helped so many people catch it early and be mindful of it. And
Mm.
when I did in 2011, we did a fundraiser for Cancer UK at Abbey Road Studios, and that
Wow.
was an amazing with what's his name? Oh darn it! I'm so bad at names. I need my husband here. He always is giving me the names. He's feeding me the names. And I want to say, oh shoot, he sings um, what's new, Pussycat?
Oh, Tom Jones.
Thank you. I can remember the songs, but not the name of the artist. This is
Yeah.
tragic. Tragic. Yeah, Tom Jones was the lead performer there, the main
Mm.
event performer. But we played the after show, which was for all the VIP players, and everybody had to stand the entire time. So when they came in, they were exhausted. They all sat down. So I had this captive audience for 3 songs. It was fabulous,
Oh,
and I get to
fantastic.
say that Tom Jones opened for me.
Oh, yeah, I love that. That's amazing. That is a great claim to fame.
Yeah.
Um, and I just wanted to mention on the subject of country shows, we do have one of our presenters here on Basingstoke Radio, James Einan, actually he also broadcasts on a Thursday evening from 6 to 8, so a little bit before Bob. So anybody who likes a bit of country can catch both. So I'm sure James will be playing some of your songs, and I'll certainly pass on. Um,
Yes.
some information from you to share on his show. So yes, if you enjoy a bit of country, listen to James Einan
Yes.
on Thursday evening, 6 to 8. Um, and I'm sure you're already listening to Whispering Bob. So Eve,
Yes.
are you playing the whole album during the show?
That's my game plan. Yes.
Mhm.
Definitely for my theater shows because I have this whole vision in my head of what I wanted to do with it. And
Mhm.
then, it just depends. Like, uh, I definitely will be doing some what I call classic Eve Selis
Right.
songs, but mainly it's going to be talking about this record and just talking about things that have helped me get through like one of the hardest times in my life, and in the hopes
Mm.
that it might help somebody who's there, that it might
Yes.
spark some light for somebody who's dark, living in their
Mm.
own dark struggle. And it's a strange thing that I discovered through my own grief and moving through it, is that you can still have that horrific grief that wants to encroach and take over, and pure joy of being alive
Mm.
and living at the same time. It's like, how is that
Yeah, yeah.
possible? It's almost as if you don't think it's disrespectful or something in a way, right?
Yeah.
But it's
Mhm.
not, because living is how you honor anyone you lost, and moving forward in my healing process. Again, like I said, it opened this door for people to come and tell me
Mhm.
about their brother, their sister, losing their
Mhm.
father, whatever their trauma is. And we hug each other and we cry and we are like grateful to be alive. And so it's just,
Mm.
it's kind of selfish, I feel like, in a way, of me doing this, because every time I do it, I get lifted up the same way
Yeah.
they're lifting me up, I'm lifting them up, and
Yes.
we're all just feeling better. And you literally do walk out. Some people say I walk out, feel like I went to church, like, amen, hallelujah. So that's I feel like it's worth doing. And
Mm.
actually, England is going to kind of be my petri dish.
Right.
Because I've only done a couple of shows here in the States. I did a CD release in it's June of last year, and a few shows here in Nashville, but nothing to the extent that I'm going to do in England. So y'all
Yeah.
are helping me put this together, and I really appreciate it.
Well, we will be more than happy to host you and help you along with that, Eve. It sounds amazing. So let's just, if you can just tell, give us the details again of when you're going to be coming to the Anvil in Basingstoke, Eve.
Yes, I am going to be there on Sunday, July 13th. And I believe the show starts at 7:30 p.m. at it's the Forge is what I'm playing in the Forge at the Anvil.
Ah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So it's a smaller, more intimate venue.
Yes.
And I'm going to be giving away free hugs to anybody.
That sounds,
Uh,
it sounds like my kind of gig.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm a professional hugger now. So after everything I've been through, and I'm not alone in that. I think that so many of us, need that, um,
Yes.
that
Hmm.
connection, and it's just again, like I said, this music is the kind of that conduit to letting that those emotions fly and soar and
Yeah.
feel better, like we all do after we've had a good cry, right?
Yes. Yes. It sounds wonderful. So Dark Sky Blue is your latest album. Is that released now?
Yes, yes, it's on
Yeah.
all streaming platforms.
Yes. I
And
did
I
find
actually
some of
did,
the songs, but yeah.
yeah, I
I'm
did
sorry.
make some CDs, but nobody has a CD player anymore. I can't
I
believe
do in my car.
I know, me too. I can't believe the music industry or whoever's made that decision, the car industry, somebody screwed over musicians.
Yes, I
Because
agree
I
actually.
mean, it's how we make our living is sharing our music, and you get a million listens in on Spotify, and you make $10. I mean, you
Yeah,
cannot live
yeah.
on that. And it's not that I need to be a millionaire or
No.
even a thousandaire. I wouldn't mind being a hundredaire. But
But we need
again,
to eat.
yeah, we need to eat, pay our bills. It's good to have a roof over your head, but I think most of us don't do it for the money. Because if you were doing this for the money, you would have quit at the
Yeah,
really early stages
absolutely.
because it doesn't make most musicians are not in that top echelon that make the
No,
millions.
no.
We do
Not
it for
like
our
Elton and
souls.
Brandy. But we'll
Yeah.
try and get them for you.
Okay.
We'll try and get you in on that lifestyle, Eve. Um,
Yes, I
all
know.
right. Well, it's been great talking to you. Thank you so much for joining
You
me.
too. Thank you,
Um,
Claire.
and I will do my very best to get there to the show, and I will come and give you a hug. And so, yeah, if you want to see Eve, listen to her music, give her a hug, feel some catharsis, get down to the Forge on the 13th of July. Um, and yeah, see Eve. Thank you very much.
Yay.
Okay, I'm going to stop recording. Let's put
Okay.
our cameras back on.
Yay.
After stopping, you receive an email. Yeah.